I'm going to play a song just because it's been a difficult few months, and then we'll just have a little catch up if that's okay with you. Good. It's called Letting Go.
My background music off.
Yeah, the song is called Letting Go, and it seems appropriate.
Woo! Very, very, very. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Letting go, I've also just more or less this second decided of letting go of any fears, because, you know, other people seem to be more afraid than me.
I'd like you to get your face center. Yeah, that's better. And just relax for a second, and then we'll start, if that's okay with you.
Why don't I see out? I see myself now.
You hear the music?
I do. It's lovely.
You brought me to the end of myself.
Just when my hallelujah was tired, you gave me a new song. Now I'm letting go. I confess I still get scared sometimes. The perfect love comes rushing in, and all the lies that screamed inside go silent. The moment you begin, I confess I still get scared sometimes. But perfect love comes rushing in, and all the lies that screamed inside go silent. The moment you begin, no one will let go.
Yoga for the soul.
Seems to do you good too.
Yeah, there's something he says. Actually, I didn't play the whole thing because, time is pressing, but there's something lovely that the guy says at the end of that song. He says, we need to be able to say the storm came, the storm passed, and my commitment didn't waver. I didn't move. It's not about, it's not about moving physically. You had to move, but it's about your commitment. You stayed centered in what you're about and what you're committed to.
Yeah, I kind of said goodbye yesterday to a German friend who's accompanied me on my journey, and I said I owe it to myself to come back.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. It hurts my heart that yourself and Ella and even Abraham had to be exiled, and obviously the worst exile is the children going into captivity.
Well, I actually think the worst is if the children were given to the father.
Yeah, and I don't like to focus, I'm a little bit naive, but I don't like to even speak that out loud, even though I know historically that's how it goes in the past. Yes. That's the most likely outcome, and that's a reality check, and I will be devastated if that's the outcome. But I wouldn't work as hard as I have, and it pales in comparison to how you've worked, but I wouldn't work as hard as I have and go through the harassment and the cost and the upheaval of putting your head above the parapet if I thought there was no hope of a different outcome to the predictable one.
Oh, I very much hope as well that the children will be given to the grandparents. I just think it's the worst, In other words, the children in exile is not as bad as the children given to whom we don't want them to be given. And I very, very, very much hope that they'll be given to the grandparents, yes.
But let's just address, first of all, the infighting, which has weakened the campaign a little bit, which is a classic tactic of professionals are hired. I think there was advertisement for 800 computer tech savvy whiz kids to join the British services for the very purpose of going online and undermining campaigns and activists and anything that is uncomfortable for the establishment of the government. So and so one of the tactics that they're trained in is divide and conquer. So yes. Can you address a little bit the relationship with how most people that are watching this are familiar with the case and have followed it certainly since February when it became in the public domain. Can you just tell us where you are in relation to the mother of these children in Hampstead and what you see your role as currently? Just talk about the divide and conquer and the ground that was taken with that tactic.
Well, the divide and conquer seems to be mostly happening amongst those trolls, shills, hoaxers, who one day are hot, another day are cold, and then they use the same name but a different email address and make a positive or a negative comment. So my policy has long been don't give oxygen to negativity. So I ban whoever leaves a negative contact without any explanation at all, full stop. Ella, of course, and I haven't spoken for a long time anyway, that she would go as far as she did in terms of bad-mouthing not only me but also Belinda. I would never, ever, ever have expected. And at the same time, I understand that this happened mainly because she managed to talk to other victims. But victims talking to 2, 3, even a dozen other victims don't give the kind of insight that Belinda and I have over the situation as a whole and the system that creates these victims. So the divide and rule tactic has clearly been applied, has clearly been made visible, but for me, the last straw that kind of broke the back of my patience was this video that was published by MK Ultra 666, where somebody suggested that this video should go to the president of the family division. And I thought, well, because they thought it was a death threat. And I actually looked at it, even though I normally don't give negativity any oxygen. But what I did find intriguing was that I didn't really perceive the death threat. I didn't find it as terrible as other people seemed to. And then I noticed that there were 24 or many other films, and then Belinda said, oh, there was one where I was in a bunny suit, and she couldn't find that. And so she put a blog post out every day during this month of July, and she addressed that particular way of framing us, if you like. But I found the angle in which I could make a comment about this, which was I realized that I was part of the case. So on two occasions, there were two orders. So therefore, I ended up writing a witness statement. And I was very encouraged by the fact that the president had started the last hearing by referring to my email to him, which I had only sent the night before. And now I therefore put this 6-page witness statement together and sent it to him. I would have loved to have sent it to all of the Lord Justices, but I didn't quite get enough time to try enough ways of how to address them email-wise. But I hope that since he acted so proactively last time, I hope that this would be enough to have the desired effect. Then there was a completely new element. I mean, I'm just talking already without you asking, Angie.
No, I'm enjoying it. I like that, and I'm practicing to interrupt less. So please keep talking. That's great. I do have questions and I do have things, but I like it that you're talking.
Okay, that's good. Because after I produced the witness statement, there was another terribly interesting input, if you like, mainly into my mind, and that is that this fabulous activist from Northern Ireland suggested that Ella and I should both come back. And I said, oh, come on, Ella will never do that. And also, it's not worth that I come without Ella. And lo and behold, she didn't want to. But then this lady, Tracy, whom you may have seen on a video with Belinda, she said, my arrival could put a spanner into their works. And I would never, ever have thought that myself. You know, this is the difference between you seeing me and me not seeing me. I cannot see myself. So that encouraged me to think about coming back and to discuss it and to get used to the idea. That was Wednesday night. And then on Thursday, during the day, I kind of had a nervous tummy, but in the evening, I did my wonderful yoga, and I came out feeling so calm, cool, and centered about it. And last night, when I spoke to my friend in Bremen, she said also, I'm so surprised that you tell it, just as if it was, nothing major at all. And that's in a way how I feel. And even though I'm still wondering whether I could send something or whether I pack it, whether I take it with me or not, I thought, F it, everything will be all right. Because yesterday and the day before, I participated in a weekend where I actually talked about it in German, about the situation, because, of course, there's a lot happening in Germany, too, and there were quite a few people who knew about it as well and were interested to hear the European perspective, including the UK. And I just got so much support and so much encouragement that I feel I must be riding this zeitgeist, this tide, this wave, which is in our favor, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm delighted you got to that position, and it's that nobody could have forced you to get there quicker than you did. It's one of those things where you had to arrive at that Yeah, I remember trying to encourage you to come home a couple of months ago, and it doesn't matter what my opinion is. It has to be it's your arse on the line, for your part, and your arse has been very firmly on the line since February. Your life's been turned upside down. So I'm delighted that you got peace about that decision. I just want to frame that you said about the video. I watched it as well, and yeah, can be perceived as a death threat. Yeah, I'm a little bit like you. It's certainly, for me, what the video, it was as if case shut in terms of the people that made it, just announcing to the world the darkness that was their reality.
That's what I said. It displays their mentality.
Very sadly so. Very dark and tormented.
Yes.
It was designed to torment you, and in fact, it just demonstrated the torment in their own. And
I'm sorry to say, it didn't torment me.
But that's a good thing.
It just didn't do anything to me, except I was amazed that anybody would bother to produce something like that.
Well, I suppose in some way it was like a cry for help on their part. I think a very dark cry for help, but it was without intending. It was a demonstration of their reality, which is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And the lady from Northern Ireland, it was like a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Because she came in and she just was so brave. And it's so true, and it's like hearing truth that hits you in your spirit. It's like, don't let the bullies bully. This is how it's just, nobody has a right to drive you from your home and your life. And for a season, it was wisdom, because we know, even look at Melanie Shaw, that imprisonment does happen to whistleblowers. Even looking at Ben Fellows, even though he only had 18 days in prison, but he was harassed for 2 years, and his family were harassed, his marriage broke up, and then when he was released on bail in January, he was tagged, he was gagged, he was curfewed, he was forbidden to go online like Robert Greene. So it's not to undermine the reality of the risks that whistleblowers take, but at the same time, if we give in to them and we just say, oh, it's okay, I have to live exiled forever because they're bigger than me, then we might as well give up, because then the bullies have won.
Yes, the reality is, you mentioned certain names, but Brian Peet and Peter Hofschröer are missing, which are also quite significant. And then, of course, Maurice Kirk, whose victimization I've observed over the years and decades. I mean, it is absolutely horrendous. Norman Scarf has left the country. Vicky Haig has left the country. There are enough mothers who leave the country in order to give birth to children without being snatched. I just saw this very beautiful video that somebody put together, summer 2015, forced adoptions, just lots and lots of photos and a few comments about, with the naming of not just the children, but also the councils who took them. I mean, it's just too much all over the place. But interestingly enough, I've also just seen the link to a publication from Washington, which is called Foreign Policy. Have you come across that? The child sex ring around Westminster's neck. There's a good reason Britons are losing faith in their politicians.
I do think we shifted hugely. I do think when you look back to when you gave that speech in Brussels regarding for daughters, and just describe how you think progress has been made since then. Was that about a year ago?
Oh no, this was March 2014, so well over a year.
Yeah.
Oh, the progress has been tremendous, particularly in Brussels, because we now have a chance to get a parliamentary debate going on September 7th. And we have the chance of getting the EU Council, these are the heads of all 28 member states, to talk about it.
Good. I mean, why September 7th? Who has set that date?
Oh, Belinda is just calling. Do we want her to join us?
Let me see if I can add. I'm not so good at this technology, but I'll try.
There is an add to call button, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, there is, but I've got the plus. Okay, right. let me see, add people to this call. This is nice and spontaneous. Belinda Mackenzie. Okay, and I just guess I click now. Yeah, add to call. Here it is. I feel like a dinosaur sometimes with all this technology.
Well, I've just texted her to say that you are adding her, so I think that's absolutely terrific.
Okay, so if there's a way that you can put yourself on video, Belinda, because my software for interviews is, if you do it on audio, it changes the whole thing. So if you can show your face, that would be great.
But it's coming up.
Okay, I see
And she
you.
normally is on face.
Okay, I don't
And
see
now
it.
her name is up. First it said busy. It just needed a bit of time, on my window at least.
Okay, well, she seems to have gone. Okay.
Oh no, it said a missed call.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe you can text her and ask her, but I didn't like to ambush her. I didn't share the time or the plan with her, but maybe you can just text her and ask her if she'd like to participate, and if she does it has to be video for the software I have.
Yeah, but that's okay. There's no problem with that.
Okay. All right, well, we'll continue until we see. I'll try again in a couple of minutes. But
Yeah.
so you were going to just talk about the progress since a year ago, and you said there's parliamentary debate on September the 7th. Can you just...
Well, yeah, the scheduling is done, if you like, ahead of time to get people's time in their diaries, right? But what is put on the agenda is determined by the leaders of the various political groups. If there's enough support, there is a whole list of questions that one group has formulated, both for the council and for the parliament. And so therefore I changed the title of the petition, which was originally Abolish Adoptions Without Parental Consent, and put the European title in that particular political group has created, which is protecting the best interest of the child across borders in Europe, because the problem has become a pan-European one, but with the UK at its extreme. There is no doubt about it. There was an expert report called Adoption Without Consent that was recently published, and I went to Brussels for that purpose and met the author. And John Hemming spotted lots of mistakes. Another German petitioner spotted lots of mistakes, and he went as far as telling the EU person who commissioned the report not to pay the report until it gets published in a corrected way. So I'm working on that as well, and that is quite critical and quite important, because a very fundamental other report has been published this year, which is about social services across Europe. When is it okay to remove a child from its birth parents? And that report quotes very clearly the practices that are abusive, and forced adoption is distinctly one of them. And the fact that adoptions are irreversible, she even refers to as a flaw in the English-Welsh legal system.
Absolutely. Now, just a technical thing, because we connected with Belinda by audio, but not video, it's knocked out your video as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a 5-minute break so that we can clarify if we can talk to Belinda too on video, and then recall you so that it's all back, because what happened when I contacted Belinda, it froze you. So I don't want to take any chances with technology issues, although I've got a backup. I'm also recording this in a second way this time because of all the issues. So take 5, and then we'll establish if we can do a 3-way, and then I'll call you back.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Sabine.